Scott Smith coming to you from the road. It is the College Caravan, and boy, we got some bright sun blasting us right here in the windshield as we are heading out of UCF. So the College Caravan is a week-long preview of college football here in the Sunshine State. So we're making 5 stops along the way, and that's going to be over the course of 5 days. So it's a lot of action, and so we don't have time to waste. So that's why we are broadcasting from the road. The next stop for us is going to be Miami, so we got about 250 miles to go. We are just now leaving the campus of UCF, but we got to spend the day with Scott Frost and the UCF Knights. So there is a lot that is new, and there is some that is old when it comes to this program. The aforementioned Scott Frost being one of them. Of course, the former head coach back in 2016 and 2017 comes back after 5 years out in Nebraska, playing for his alma mater in his hometown. Didn't go as he had hoped, of course, but he loves that he has this option in UCF, a place that he is plenty familiar, has a lot of love for the fan base here. The only problem is that with that familiarity comes a lot of new faces, because this program had a complete overhaul to the roster in the offseason. They went into the transfer portal and they hit it big. So they have now 60-plus players that have come into this program, whether that be a true freshman or a transfer, and they are trying to get some chemistry, build it as quickly as possible with this team. And so that is kind of order first with this team. They have 17 days until they kick the season off against Jacksonville State at the Bounce House. So they are trying to do many things. One of those is figure out who's going to be their starting quarterback. Right now they have a 3-man competition. The only one that has a little bit of experience as a Knight is Ja'Carri Brown, and he is, all of 2 starts last year, but he is a guy that can do it both with the feet and the arm. He actually rushed for more yards last year than he passed for. So there's a little bit of familiarity among Knights fans with him. The other guys are transfers. So Taven Jackson is a transfer from Indiana, and then Cam Fancher is a transfer from FAU. So there is a quarterback battle taking place. He said there's no rush to make the call here. We may take it right up until day 1 or beyond. But we did have an opportunity earlier today to sit down, talk with Scott Frost about getting back to his old stomping grounds, the talent he sees on the field, and the hopes he has for this season.
There's a lot that's still the same, but the growth is impressive. Always knew this job and this university has so much potential, and it's great to see how much ground they've covered since I was here the last time, and hopefully we can take advantage of that.
What has changed about you as a head coach in the time since you've been away?
Hopefully not a lot. I think as you get older, you get wiser. You learn a lot through success and failure, and certainly had a lot more experience and things that have happened to us under our belt. So we're going to come at it with a little more wisdom, but hopefully the same passion and energy that we had before.
Yeah, a lot of new faces from last year's team. You guys hit the transfer portal hard. Some 60-plus new players, including freshmen that are coming in. What are the challenges as a head coach to get everybody kind of rowing in the same direction and build that chemistry in short order?
You said it, everybody working together for the same goal, putting the team first. That's hard to do on any team, much less when you have as many new players as we do. Our season's going to go about as well as our discipline catches up with our talent, and we're getting there as a team. We got to keep coming together as a team and doing the little things right. We need a bunch of fighters, and today was a hard practice, and we were testing the team for that to see how many people are going to fight for what they want.
I mean, are you seeing that? Are you seeing the type of makeup that you want at this point in fall camp?
Yeah, there's been steady progress since we got here. We had a lot of ground to cover with our expectations and offensive scheme, defensive scheme, rules, standards. The guys are learning fast, and I think they're coming together. Then at the end of the day, we're going to be talented, but every game's going to be a battle, and we got to go out and fight for what we want.
So the marquee position battle here in the fall is at the quarterback position. You got 3 guys talented and each bring their own strengths to the table. How would you kind of flush out where they are right now in this competition?
Yeah, it's not coach talk. I got 3 guys that I think if we had to go into the year and they were our guy, I'd feel good about it. It's unfair for us to just anoint someone and give them the job, so I want that to be settled on the field. I don't think we're there yet. All 3 guys have been doing good things, and we'll take it as deep as we have to take it before we figure out who the right guy is.
Yeah, I mean, 2.5 weeks until the season begins. What can you see that you haven't seen already, I guess, until that moment?
I think consistency. They're all three making plays. You got to make plays and avoid the negative plays and the catastrophic plays, and they've all taken their turns with that. But at the end of the day, where we start might not be where we finish, but it's going to be the guy that executes the offense the best, and we can trust to make plays without having any bad ones.
What is the position group that you feel most confident in at this point?
You know, hopefully we're good front seven on defense. I think we got a lot of talent up there and some guys with some returning production, which is rare on our team. I really think the O-line's come a long way. Coach Clark's doing a great job with them, just like Coach Dawson and Kmart are doing on defense. So, you know, hopefully we're improved up front from where we found the team in January, and that'll make everything work.
So here, take a look at some of the stats that this team was able to put up last year. So offensively, you know, 14th in the nation, just shy of 450 yards per game under Gus Malzahn's really fast offense. You know, the only problem with that is that you have to convert those third downs, and the Knights did struggle with that. So it didn't give their defense much of a break when they weren't able to move those sticks. But, you know, passing just under 200 yards a game, they could run the football. With R.J. Harvey, they could certainly do that. Meanwhile, defensively, you know, 339 yards per game, not too shabby, 37th in the nation. When it comes to turnovers, they of course like to see those numbers pick up a little bit, less than one turnover per contest, which ranked 118th in the nation last year. So they feel like they can improve on some of those numbers, even with new faces in place. And we can go through some of the guys in the running back room here shortly. But let's take a look at the schedule, because, boy, it's going to be here before you know it. Again, just 17 days from now, they kick off the season. And that first opponent is going to be FCS foe Jacksonville State. They are a team that is going to come into the bounce house. That should be win number one for the Knights. Then they got it again, North Carolina A&T. This another home tilt on the 6th of September. So I see it win-win right out of the gates. You got your bye here, week 3 of the season. Then you got North Carolina. So the Fighting Bill Belichick's, that will be a home game against North Carolina. We're not even sure what North Carolina is going to be, but they usually have a talented team. That will be a tough game. At Kansas State for their fourth opponent. You know, Kansas State always tough. Avery Johnson, their quarterback, as talented as it gets in the division, or in the league rather. Then you got Kansas, that a home game. That could be a win. Kansas kind of right in that same group with UCF. Cincinnati on the road. You know, Cincinnati tends to have reliable playmakers. That could be a tough battle on the road. You come back home, you got West Virginia. That could be a dub. I mean, it's kind of right up for grabs there. You got your second bye week, and then it's a visit to Baylor, maybe the best team in the Big 12. Then you got Houston at home. That could be another win. Then you visit Texas Tech. This is a team, best team that money could buy, is what a lot of people are saying. And they took one of the Knights in Lee Hunter, the defensive tackle. He's now a Red Raider. So that's going to be a tough test, especially out there in Lubbock. Oklahoma State, that could be potentially a win. And then you finish on the road at BYU. Not sure who their quarterback is right now. But, you know, the way I look at this schedule, you know, maybe 5-6 wins. If you can sniff bowl eligibility, that I think is a successful year one for Scott Frost. And you know what? That's what happened his first year when he was with the Knights back in 2016. They won 6 games. The season before, it was abysmal. They went 0-for, and then it was a 2 undefeated season in 2017. All right, let's talk about some of the skill positions on this offense. You know, you start in the receiver core, and everything's new, right? So they only have, of the 15 guys that caught passes last year, only 2 are back on the roster this year, and one of those happens to be the running back Miles Montgomery. So Miles is a guy that is talented. He has certainly shown flashes with this team. Last year was his first year with the Knights, and he is kind of following in the footsteps of a guy that he really looked up to in R.J. Harvey. So, you know, he's probably going to be, you know, one of 2. I don't think they're going to go RB1. I think it's going to be rotational. And one of those guys that is also going to step in is a transfer in Jaden Nixon. And they like both these guys. He's got a lot of speed. Nixon ran for over 900 yards at Western Michigan last year with 12 touchdowns. So a good 1-2 punch. Let's check in with Montgomery. I guess the senior in this offense, of a bunch of fresh faces.
We're a young team, so it's going to come down to discipline. We talked about it in our meeting today. Our biggest opponents this year is going to be ourselves. We can't beat ourselves. If we're going to be a good football team, we got the talent to do it, but we're young. So being disciplined is going to be a big key in our success this year.
So when you talk about roller coasters of an offseason, I got to think this last one was you come back, a lot of new faces, a lot of different parts. I'm sure there was maybe a temptation to leave. What was it about here, UCF, that made you want to come back for another season?
You know, I really felt like I was needed. This is where a place I needed to be. I came here for a reason out of the transfer portal, and I just felt like there was no reason for me to leave, man. I got so much respect from the guys who were even here last year. You know, obviously coaches talk, so it carried over to this new staff. You know what I mean? They kept saying they heard a lot of good things about me, you know, so I kind of just didn't have a reason to leave.
I got to imagine, though, it kind of, you come back to spring football and now to fall camp, still getting to know the guys. Does it feel like you're almost on a new team?
Yeah, but it's the way football is now. Every year is going to be a new team. It kind of helped, though, because this is my third coach now. So I had Coach Fickle, then after that, I had Scott Satterfield, then I had Gus last year, and now I got Coach Frost. So those kind of made it a little bit easier. Yeah.
Yeah. What's Scott Frost's style?
He's a cool dude. He's kind of mild today, but usually he has his hat to the side, like walking around. He always has these nice sneakers on. Like, nice. He's a cool dude. So it was easy to adapt to him.
By the way, Miles has a podcast that is new this year. He said they're 8 episodes in. It's UC Fast Podcast. You should check it out. So here's his numbers from last year. 51 carries, just under 300 yards. Pass game, just 3 catches. Again, 3 catches. He was one of only 2 guys that returns that had a catch last season. So he's got plenty of talent. Him, Jaden Nixon could be a nice little 1-2 punch in the backfield. All right, so the quarterback competition is the one that's playing out, and we don't know exactly when that's going to be resolved. The only guy that has experience in a UCF uniform is Ja'Curry Brown. But there is a familiar face in that quarterback room, and that would be Mackenzie Milton. So the guy that is maybe a legend, and I don't know if that's an overstatement, with UCF, that, of course, pioneered that team to an undefeated season in 2017. He is back now as a coach. He spent the last 2 seasons as an assistant working under his former coach in Josh Heupel at Tennessee. And what do you know? But an opportunity awaits here to come back home, to come back to his alma mater and play under another former head coach of his in Scott Frost. And according to Frost, Mackenzie Milton has the makings of a future.
Coach Milton, right? I mean, I know that's the title, but you're not that far removed from your playing days. So how's the arm? Can we still rip it? Do you test it out?
I'll say I probably got up to about 40, 45 yards on a good day.
Okay.
Not pushing 65 anymore. But
Do you show some of these young pups how it's done?
100%.
Okay, good stuff. Last couple of years, you got to kind of get your coaching career kicked off under Heupel up at Tennessee, and now you're here with Scott Frost. How unique is that to be able to kick off your coaching career under guys that coached you?
I would say, man, like football is always a people business, and one thing I've learned early in this coaching profession is really who you work for and work with. Both guys like big brothers / dads to me, and those guys are all family oriented. I got 2 little ones. If they couldn't be a part of it, my family, like, you know, I don't know if I'd be so invested in this profession, but you know, Coach Frost, Coach Hype, 2 family-oriented guys, and you know, it's been a blessing just to, you know, stick with those guys from 2016 till now.
So you see Scott getting the job here. What's your immediate thought?
Man, just extremely fired up for him. Just knowing the journey God has brought him on from here to Nebraska to LA and back here. You know, he told me a couple years ago it'd be a dream to get back here one day, and 2 years later here he is. So God works in mysterious ways, and I'm just blessed that, you know, he brought me along for the ride.
You step back on campus, a place where the fans love you. You've done so much for this program, taken it to unprecedented heights. What's it like to kind of be back in this capacity to try to lead these Knights?
Yeah, you know, it's a blessing. Not something I take for granted. I would say it's something that I've always, you know, dreamed about and kind of envisioned. Didn't think it would happen this soon, but I'm glad it did.
Coach Scott Frost said that he sees the makings of a really good future coach in you. Had this been something that had always been in your heart to go this route?
I would say so. My dad, you know, he ran a youth football league with my mom growing up, and he was my coach. And, you know, I have taken so many lessons from him. And one thing I asked Coach Frost when I came here as a freshman was like, hey, when I'm done, could I GA for you when I'm done playing? And he said, yeah, absolutely. That was a big reason why I came here. And as a player, you know, getting hurt my junior year, I had a chance to be on the sidelines for 2 years rehabbing and kind of pour into Dylan. And, you know, I think that's where I was like, man, you know, when this is done, this is an avenue I might want to go. And, you know, it's still early in it, but, you know, I'm just taking it one day at a time, being a sponge, learning from Coach Frost and all the other guys that have been doing this a really long time.
All right, let's talk a little Knights defense. Okay, so this is a Knights team that, if there is a strength, you heard Scott Frost earlier in the show talk about it being the front seven. Now, they do have some new pieces in the defensive backfield as well. One of those guys is a Tampa area native. He went to Sefner Christian. That's Isaiah Reed. He's a transfer from Brown. And then they also have a guy, Philip Dunham, who is an FAU transfer that they think very highly of. He's going to be probably their starting safety. But let's talk front seven. And one of those guys is going to be Nigel Kelly, an edge rusher off the end. And he is an extremely talented guy, long, lean, fast off the edge. He is a guy that last season had a pretty good year. He's the returning starter. So first 2 seasons of his career, he spent at Miami, but 5.5 sacks, 9.5 tackles for loss last year for the Knights. Malachi Lawrence is another guy that they are high on, 12.5 sacks over the last 2 years. And then Sincere Edwards, kind of a younger guy and a Popka native, but he is another one. How about the linebacking core in the second level? So Kelly Lawson, Virginia Tech transfer. He's a senior. He should be one of the team's leading tacklers. Lewis Carter is one gentleman that we had a chance to catch up with today. And Lewis actually is a Tampa Catholic guy, and he is a transfer in from Oklahoma, and he's looking forward to his opportunity here in Orlando.
I had a conversation with a few of the other guys who played for him, and they just told me, like, he's a real hype guy, and he's going to give you the ability to run around and play fast out there.
What's that defense going to look like?
We're working on it each day. One other day, we had a tempo period. We had a whole bunch of plays. I ain't going to say how many plays, but we definitely going to be a group that can run all game and be ready for it.
So you come in from Oklahoma back to the state that you're from, right? So what was it about coming back to the Sunshine State that brought you here?
Just coming back closer to my family.
Yeah.
Obviously coming back closer to home. Just being able to, I feel like I got a better reach being here. I know a lot of more people, familiar with a lot of more people around the area, and just coming back, being able to play for my state.
Yeah. Did your folks go out and watch you in Norman, or?
Yeah, they did. They did.
Probably much easier.
Yeah, much easier. They're gonna be at every game.
Although commuting I-4 is, you know, sometimes getting in a plane's a little bit easier than driving I-4. But yeah. How was that experience at Oklahoma, being able to play, you know, SEC football last year, played in 12 games, and how that helps you and better prepares you to step into the Big 12?
It was a great experience, man. I enjoyed being there. I learned a lot from a lot of older guys, and I feel like me being away, going so far away from home, I feel like it gave me the room to grow in spaces that it wouldn't have gave me the room to grow if I stayed here in Florida.
So the defense should be an exciting brand of defense under new defensive coordinator Alex Grinch. The team actually got an opportunity today. They're talking about team bonding. They actually went to a water park earlier today. So that's one of the ways that in a short period of time you can start to build some chemistry with this unit. So exciting things ahead for the UCF Knights under new head coach Scott Frost. What's old is new again, right? So here's our next stop on the College Caravan. We are off to Miami, and we are on the way right now. So we are on the freeway heading down, and we can actually show you a little view of, this is my angle. Well, this is the animation of us heading down. Look at the Caravan. Up to UCF off to Miami, then USF on Wednesday, up to Florida State on Thursday, and we wrap things up in Gainesville. So a lot of fun plan for the course of this next week. A lot of college football to get to, and we're going to be sitting down with each head coach along the way. So make sure you stay locked in. Follow us online. Follow us on Fox 13 and Fox 35, and of course streaming every night at 7:40. Here's a look from the road as we say goodbye on the College Caravan.